Hello and welcome to Nollywood Film Club. I'm Mr. C, a critic. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, we're discussing films again. So, not too much to add. I hope you enjoy Nollywood Film Club discussing Suky. Let's just start to. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Nollywood Film Club. We did discuss Nollywood related topics. Sometimes we discuss films, like today, where we are discussing Suky. We will discuss what we like in the good. We'll discuss what we don't like in the bad. We'll disagree in the pushback, and we'll give a summary. If you have something you want to contribute, you can comment underneath the space, or you can request to speak. All right. Let's start with our first speaker, Inka.
Sorry, so is that the intro we need to hear so bad? Is there more?
He's so proud of his intro.
You're so pleased with yourself for coming early today. Now that you are now spoiling my intro. Do you even know what intro sounds like? You're on a normal on a normal day. How do you know what's beautiful? All right. Then you can please tell us what you liked about Suky.
First, I like that it is more interesting than last week's movie. So that's a positive. It is actually a very interesting story. I think they actually cast somebody that I don't know this person's personal life story, but it seems like they learned to do the dambe boxing. Maybe this person does do exercise, and everybody here is very, very fit. They look like I should never fight with these people. If they are rude to me, I should just, cower back and never fight with these people. So they look like they are properly cast. The director, is it director? The director or the art director, or first of all, art director, you did the job that you were supposed to do for the movie very well. Location manager got a pretty good location. Sometimes even the cinematographer, was doing very well. They were playing with lights and shadows in this type of movie. I think that was awesome. Some of the costuming, it works. I actually kind of like some of the costuming, and also the fact that it got a bunch of extras and a bunch of people to be in the movie. They got at least hundreds of people, at least 100 people. At least it seems like they got a good amount of people that are real and they're not like CGI people, So that's a good thing about the movie. I like the story. Some of the acting is good. So there are many things to praise about the movie, and it is truly dark, and it was bloody, and it works well with the story that the movie was trying to talk about. What's the name? The guy that is doing the old carrying the something. What is it called? I don't know. I've forgotten his name. But the man that trains Suky in the prison, the original guy, even the old man with the beard was a good actor. So there was a good acting in it too. I won't necessarily say from every single person, mainly Suky, but yeah, it works. It wasn't a waste of time. It was actually pretty good. And this is kind of what I'm saying, that we should get to telling different types of stories. And I think it was an okay thing. I wasn't upset. So that's a good thing.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Inka. Vanessa, do you want to tell us what you liked about Suky?
Sure. I'm assuming that this is another one of those first productions with...
You know what you would think, but no, this is I think this is Nemasia. Is it
It's Nemsia.
Nemsia, that's the one. Yeah, this is Nemsia. But yes, it did have that feeling.
It did have that feeling, and Bibi Sashore was part of this as well. So
Yeah.
That's why I'm going with the assumption. But if you say it's not then.
Habibi Sasare is Nemsia, titled Nemsia is, what's his name? Is Steve Gukas that
It's Steve
is
Gukas that is first,
first
whatever.
message. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I'm just waking up from a nap. What did I like? Where I was going with this, which obviously went wrong, but I quite liked having a relatively unknown as the lead. I know I haven't seen him anywhere. I mean, Big Suki. Maybe people have seen him in other places, but I haven't seen him. So it was nice to see a relatively unknown as the lead. And while his performance was a tad inconsistent, not a tad, quite inconsistent, there were flashes of greatness somewhere in there that I liked seeing. He did okay, well, not in the bad. So yeah, flashes of greatness. So yeah, happy to see him first, especially given that they could have done the predictable thing and had Toby Bakri play Big Suki. And had a star-studded cast, which they still did, but they had them as supporting to this guy's lead. So very happy for him. The guys did okay. No, but okay, they did all right. Olarotimi Fakunle, who plays the warden, Marshall, Femi Adebayo, William Benson, who plays the lawyer who got killed. It was nice to see William Benson as well. A bounce. It was all right to see a bounce. It wasn't in this a lot, but it was okay to see a bounce as well. Philip Asaya, I'm very pleased to see Philip Asaya in this. I wish he wasn't. I don't know when this was shot, but I wish he wasn't playing who he was playing. But given the kind of film this is, it was nice to see Philip Asaya. He wasn't on it for much as well, but it was nice to see Philip Asaya. What else was it good? I kind of sort of enjoyed Bimba Ademoye in this. I can't remember the last time I enjoyed a Bimbo Ademoye performance. So this wasn't like a groundbreaking performance by any means, but I didn't hate this one. So yay. Another good is that I like that this was 70, what am I saying? It's in 92 point something% in Yoruba. I quite liked that. When we started in Yoruba, I was like, oh, fun for me. This is nice. This is nice. And I like that they stuck with it. I like that everyone was speaking Yoruba in this, and it was nice. I enjoyed everyone speaking in Yoruba in this. What else did I like? I guess, I don't know if I enjoy the premise so much as I appreciate the attempt at said premise. We've had a few boxing films. Before someone says this is the first boxing film in Nollywood, we've had a few boxing films, and I don't hate this one. Like the decision to go with a revenge plot boxing film. Pleased to see it. What else did I like? Production design was pretty good. I liked that Suki and his dad lived in what was his gym. It was attached to said gym. I liked the little room that they lived. I liked that they were Muslim as well. What else? Anywho, production design was good. Aja Prison also did. The prisons looked very prison-like, very good. The pits in which they fought also quite good. I think overall the production design in this was pretty good. And yeah, some of the cinematography and the choices that they made with color and some of the directing choices pretty good as well. I didn't have that much complaints. But maybe also I was asleep and I wasn't opening my eye very well. But I watched it sha. And nothing offended me when it came to how it looked. maybe other people were offended by some things, but nothing stood out to me as incredibly offensive based off of how the look and feel of it was. Also, I appreciate that we didn't have a lot of popular Afrobeat songs in this. A very good choice. Not like the music made a impact on me. It wasn't like the music did something for me. It was kind of forgettable, the music, but it wasn't offensive either. So I'm putting that as a win. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Vanessa. Atas, what did you
Hi.
like about
Okay.
Suki?
So I liked the story that was being told here, actually. And I liked the way the story was told. Don't laugh. This is not about hot men yet. I will get there. But I actually did really like how it was set up from, I mean, there's a couple places I'm not as fond of, but I do like how it was set up from, the dad throwing the race, and then stupidly deciding to win the race for his son, and all of the events that kind of flow from that. I like that they didn't drag this on. And Oyinka is right. Like, the last movie was 2.5 hours and did not have nearly as much meat as this one did. And they managed to get the story out in about an hour and 45. I'll be honest, I haven't watched the last 20 minutes. At some point, it does get a little tedious for me, but I am watching it right now, so I should finish at some point before the bad. I enjoyed Toby in this a lot. I was very sad that he wasn't in more. I actually would have preferred him of Suki. I don't think the person who played Suki, anyways, is not the bad. But I did like Toby in this. He was a lot more restrained, and he had a lot more dimension to him than I have seen him in other things. And I also did like Bimbo in this too, for the same reasons. She barely speaks, but you're able to kind of tell how she's feeling and what she's going through just based on her face. And I like that a lot. I liked a lot of the settings and location in this. There was a feeling of authenticity in a lot of the locations that were used, from the boxing gym to, the prison where they're all crowded into that one room with inconsistent mosquito netting. All of that. It was really well thought out. And yes, Toby was in this and was shirtless, and I appreciated that. I will never say no to shirtless Toby. Thank you very much. Suki was also very hot when he wasn't bleeding everywhere, which detracted a lot from how enjoying his hotness. But I really appreciated the dedication to letting me see muscular men on my screen for most of this. So shout out to them. But yeah.
Okay. All right. Everybody should take
Osas,
notes
as
for
Vanessa
how
invaded
likes have hot men without blood, please. So for next time, filmmakers, please don't put blood on Otas's.
Don't ruin the muscles with blood, please. Just put the blood somewhere else. That's all I have.
I support that motion. Also, avoid the
in a
eyes.
revenge
I know
movie.
this is a boxing film, but why did we have to box Suki in the eyes?
Anyway.
We could have given him a bit of something. They don't need to have one eye shut. Don't do that.
Can I ask a question? Did you guys read the synopsis of the movie?
I'm talking about
No, we read
Oyinka,
it,
please. Oyinka,
but that's
please.
not the point.
My collateral is beauty
this is not about film anymore.
and disrupting it.
All right. Thank you, Otaz. Indika, please, do you want to tell us your thoughts on Suki?
Oh yeah, I'm glad. I'm happy to. I really liked this film. I went into it thinking Toby was lead because I like Toby a lot, and I like him in this. But I was actually pleasantly surprised with the direction they went with the lead. I think he did fine. He was not actually excellent, but he was quite fine in the film. I like what the film is trying to say about power and power dynamics in the way that each of the characters interact when the way the warden talks about how he owns these people like cattle. And then when he goes to talk to the senator reminds him that you're not educated, right? There's everywhere where everybody is wielding the power that they have against the next person, and very ruthlessly so, each character with each person in their own strata. I like one of my favorite shots is the shot of him kneeling in the hospital and praying while that babe was peeping. Like, that shot was really nice. There's a lot of choices they made in this film that are really nice. I hated the Dutch angles a lot, but there was a lot of Dutch angles that I hated, but like, we'll get to that in the bads, which are few for me. I like the gore in this film. I like the action. I like that they were actually fighting. I hate when Nigerians are doing action film and when they're about to fight, we now cut to something else. I like that they were actually fighting. I like the gore. I love the blood. I love all the bleeding. It didn't feel gratuitous. I think gratuitous. I don't know the word. Gratuitous.
It's okay.
Didn't
Just
feel
look for
too much.
another one.
Sorry, they feel too much to me. I like seeing them actually fight and then get beat up. You see their face swollen. It made me felt really like raw. Yeah, these are men fighting. Like, I love the prison setting a lot. I liked this film. These are all the things I like about it. Yes.
All right. Okay. All right. Thanks, Nduka. Nduka liked the Kpokpoin. Nduka did not mind the violence, did not mind the gore. In fact, he liked it. So, filmmakers, if you want to please Nduka, put blood. I'm just saying.
Who do you want to watch your film?
Exactly. If you want a task, and Vanessa, please keep the blood away from the eyes and the face.
That's hot, guys.
It's very easy to please both of them, isn't it? Onzuka will appreciate the blood. Just keep it away from the face so that Vanessa and the task
he likes it. He likes it everywhere. Don't worry. All right, Mrs. P.
What did I like about Suky? So, I really enjoyed the prison. I think it looked, as somebody who has never been to prison, it's what, as somebody who has never been to prison, it's exactly what I expect of a Nigerian prison. And also, like, books that describe prison and all of that stuff. It's kind of what it looks like. I liked seeing I said I liked seeing it, but I thought it was a good thing when they showed the inequality even within the prison. When he first goes in, right, he's in that general kind of prison where you have to find a corner to sleep, or you sleep on top somebody and all of that stuff. And I remember when the guards brought food into the middle and everyone just pounced on it, versus when they recruited him to be a fighter, right? He gets moved to the, in quote, nicer side of the prison, where they have the bunk beds and the mosquito nets, and they have cafeteria where they can go and be served food instead of fighting with everybody else for food. I thought that was really good. I thought when he got sent to prison and like we open with, just Marshall just shooting a bunch of people in the head, I was like, oh, okay. But again, as a Nigerian, I'm like, yeah, in this world, I buy this disregard for human life, right? This willful, nothing's gonna happen, who's gonna come find you. And speaking of Marshall, I enjoyed that Marshall character. I liked I'm the big dog in the prison, and then just being a pathetic excuse of a human being around people with actual power. I thought that was a fun choice to put in there. So the guy who played Suky, I like what they did with him, right? I like that maybe it's intentional, maybe they wrote Suky and they thought, you know what, we can cast a model for this, it's fine. He don't gotta talk too much. He just gotta have some aura of I'm going through things, I've been through a lot, or life's hard. And I appreciate that they didn't make him talk too much. I don't think Suki had too many lines, right? He just brood, take some hits, give some hits, and bash some people in the face, and that's about it. Which, yeah, I think they did well with what they had. I think the auditions for like 98% of this film were come in, take off your shit. I'm not complaining. I think that's alright. I think we should do more auditions like that in Nollywood, just saying. I think Toby was really comfortable. I thought he was quite comfortable in his role. And I enjoyed that. I think comfortable is the word I'm thinking of, and I quite enjoyed that. When he had that, boxing, when he was training at the beginning, he sounded like he knew what he was talking about. Cause I think we started listening to it in Yoruba and then we had to take it back to add subtitles. I was like, it sounds like he knows what he's talking about. He looks like he knows what he's talking about. And then that transition from when he goes jab and we have little Suki jabbing and, the bag. I was like, that was cute. That was nice. So yeah, I enjoyed quite a few things about Suki. Overall, I'm not mad. Maybe we should be doing things like this, like watch something like Finding Me and then you watch something less offensive. So that, a bit of perspective.
Wow. Okay. All right. Elizabeth, welcome. Please, tell us what you liked about Suki.
Hold on. I just want to say, only you should, if you want to watch Finding Me, you should keep it to yourself, not to everybody else. Okay?
Elizabeth, please tell us what you liked about Suki.
Hi, Lincoln. I've missed you. So, what did I like about Suki? So, first thing is I like the production. Maybe I should say I love the production. It felt raw. It reminds me of, I know it's going to be a stretch because it is a stretch, but I like the grit. It reminds me of City of God. No, not because of nothing I like, but in the way it's depicted, that is the grit, the environment. It's just something about it that doesn't feel too put together in the way we are so used to. I think I personally, I know this is lofty praise for Nollywood, but I've been so used to some put together production that, you see somebody in lower class and their house look really like somebody repainted, touched up the wall, put a lamp and threw a mattress on the floor. So this feels very raw and I really appreciate it. And so many things. The fight choreography, I thought that was well done. I really liked it. I really like it. What else? We've got the fine boys, but before I get to the fine boys, right? Another thing that I liked was, the theme around power and choices. I really like that so much because this was one of our inciting incidents. It grew up again. I like the use of religion here. We see Suki and his daddy pray, and so you see his daddy really teach Suki. You can see that there is this sort of inspiration the child gets from the father, and then to see his father through a fight for money. That really did something to Suki, and that also did something to the dad, that is Toby's character. And then he did not throw that fight, the last fight that got him killed. I think that's one of the, it's a good foundation. We'll talk about how that wasn't sustained later, but it's a good foundation. I really like that for an inciting incident because it did lock in, what we ought to be expecting, right? And do we stand for what we believe in, or is money something that can, change our opinion or what we stand for? That's that generally. Another thing that I like that scene with father and son, after Toby fought, won that fight, that last fight, and they were going and Suki was so excited and he was reenacting. I love that. I love that scene so much. I think it's one of my favorite scenes before everything went down. What else? Yeah. I believe they spoke Yoruba all through. I I thought, even me, that Yoruba is my first language. I was like, okay, this is nice. This is nice to hear. Olarotimi was Olarotimi. I don't know if he's getting typecast, but yeah, I love, it was Olarotimi really. And that guy, I've forgotten his name, that guy from Kyuburu. Was that the dad? Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it was bad guy here. I was like, okay. And Suki is a new face. I loved what Mrs. C said. Yeah, that guy was shirtless, and I was like, not bad. He reminds me so much of, that time when Arnold started and he wasn't talking so much, but was just being a fine boy and a bad guy in films. Yeah, I think it really worked for this. So yeah, those are my likes.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I can't remember. At some point, Mrs. C, when we were watching this, she was commenting on how younger Suki was a talkative, and she was wondering whether it was the talkie that got his father that got his father killed that made him shut up as an adult, which yeah, I guess I found interesting, an interesting take. But there was a clear dichotomy between how much both young and old Suki spoke and how often they spoke. Really, very, very clear. I wonder. But yes, okay. Some of the things I liked about Suki, I like the simplicity of the story. A lot of things that are so good about this film is sometimes some of the things it didn't do that a lot of Nollywood films would have done. Would have probably taken this in a bunch of different directions, would have had some extra story. I like that they didn't even really make the Suki nurse thing a out and out like love relationship. It's different. It's interesting. I like that they didn't give they didn't give Suki a where's his mother backstory or something, some except if I missed it, some tragic thing that happened to his mother, this and that's, it's just, hey, we just have a single father. We're making a film that I would say in some way is for men, but that can also appeal to women. I'm reminded of it's something like 300, done by Snyder. But yeah, I appreciated that it sort of knew the type of film it was and it wanted to tell, and it kept it stayed in its lane. People have mentioned it, but I really enjoyed the Olarotimi performance, the duality of, being the big bad wolf in prison and then, like being like just this pathetic coward in front of the other guy. And I might slowly turn into a Femi Adebayo stan because I am not sure he's giving me many bad performances or a lot. Like he's such a solid, reliable actor. Femi Adebayo, he really is, and really often not spoken amongst outside, with someone like an RMD, but he really does give reliable performances, just time in and time out. So kudos to him on that. What else did I like? The number of extras in this, I think I mentioned, they probably hired like probably 100, but it's not even just about having all of them. It's about how you arrange them in the frame. There's like the more people you have to put in the frame, much more difficult it gets. That scene, the scene that stays with me is when they drop food in that bay and everybody rushes it. That's such a striking scene. And there's just a lot of dealing with obviously all these naked men, which again must have saved a lot on costume money, that you only have to clothe half of the people in there. But yeah, that was good to see, and the physicality of it, obviously because having these people clearly be people who were fit or at least taking the right amount of steroids, whatever it is to get your body the way. I'm just saying, I don't know, I don't know. However your body gets to that, being fit, it all helped the physicality of the movie, and it helped with the type of movie this was going for. So when they were doing all the sort of boxing, it helps you believe that yes, these are people who, if they hit you, that would hurt, and you might not want to stand up so quickly, that kind of thing. I think for the most part, it's edited well. Having a lot of fights, I think this is one of the films that has so much fighting in it. And so much, it relies on it. And, in terms of getting hits and cheating with cuts to make everything flow, I think this is a step in the right direction by most parts for Nollywood. And I think this is this is the least offensive sports movie I've seen from Nollywood. I think I remember people really liked, I can't remember what the name of the other boxing movie with
Also
Bimba and Gabriel are
Yeah.
following. I can't remember the name. I did not like that movie at all. I strongly dislike that movie greatly. It has just has bad morals in it. Awful morals in it. And that's probably what happens when you try to do a couple of too many complex things in there. But yeah, I think the strength of this is in its simplicity, knowing what type of movie it is, and actually dedicating quite a lot to it. Some people have mentioned a couple of things with some of the shots. It didn't have to be as nice looking as this. And so I appreciate that they really put in effort. But in terms of filmmaking, this movie, I appreciate that somebody had an idea and really put a lot of effort into achieving the idea. But yes, we'll go into the things we didn't like soon. I don't know if any, Elizabeth, do you want to add something?
Yeah, before we go into the things we do not like, I just remember that I watched it since it came out, I think last week. I wanted to mention that I really liked the original soundtrack. I thought it was good. I thought it was made for the film, and I thought it was impactful when it needed to be. It sort of like sets the pace and increases anticipation, at least in the way it was composed. I was going to check for who did that, but by the end of the film, I was already tired. I wanted out, so I forgot to do that. But yeah, that's one of my goods.
All right, thanks, Elizabeth. All right, if we go into the things that we did not like, Anka, do you want to kick us off? What things do you not like about Suky? Can people hear me, Anka?
I can't.
Okay. Anka, we can't hear you. Maybe might have to try going off and coming back on again. Vanessa, do you want to tell us, what you did not like about Suky?
To be honest, by and large, I was a little bored. I was a little bored. I don't know. Like this was supposed to be exciting. This had, and I'm not being facetious here, this had the makings of an exciting film. It had hot men, largely shirtless, with breaking faces and bodies with their fists. It had corrupt government officials. It had the loose loose trimmings of a revenge plot, this could have been exciting. And I was bored. I was incredibly bored. And I was like, oh God, this is unfortunate that I am this bored. Speaking about our loose makings of a revenge plot, was revenge gotten? I mean, he did kill Sledgehammer, but it felt, the revenge felt, again, underwhelming. So this is my thing, yeah. Granted, he killed who killed his father, but you gotta kill the head. You gotta chop off the head of the snake. And Abounce literally just walked out of said establishment. And I was like, I don't know, the revenge just felt one kind. I don't know. Yeah, I think my major problem with this was it was boring. Sorry. Even the inciting incident, I was like, I guess you've tried to establish to us that this man obviously cares about how his son sees him. But I was like, yeah, my nigga, throw that fight. I'm sorry. I was like, throw this fight. You gonna apologize to your son at home. Sorry. Sorry, I was like, just throw the fight, tell him sorry at home. They say all this. So from there, I was very like, okay, fine. But I was like, fine. It's an inciting incident. He cares about how his son feels. But then throughout, I was just bored. And I know we were talking about how, yeah, we cast a model whose job was to be shirtless, take punches, bleed a lot, and not say much. But there wasn't a lot of insights into who Suky was beyond the trauma of losing his dad. And we don't even get that, really. Even the trauma of the people who took him in being killed where he was, we still don't get none of that. He's just strong and silent. And I'm like, okay, but like, so are you saying you didn't Chris as they are killing people in your very before? I don't know. It just felt, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, but it felt one kind, and I was dissatisfied a lot. I think that's the feeling I left this film was I was bored and I was dissatisfied. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Vanessa. Anko, let's see whether we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, good. Great.
Okay. So just wanted to put on, like, I know this is the like, it's kind of like I'm bad, but like, my Marshall with his cat, always petting his cat. I'm like, okay, that's different. I found it lovely, but also strange. So bad. I did say they cast appropriately. They did. Suki is kind of appropriately cast, kind of. But my problem with Suki, maybe because he's a newer actor, I'm not sure, I've not seen him in a lot of stuff, but I'm gonna guess right now that he's a newer actor. Is that, yes, he's playing stoic. The character is playing the sort of something, it's known, it's common, it's the way they normally do it. But I don't think Suki realized that he was supposed to be acting. I think Suki thinks, the guy that plays Suki, when it's time for you to say your lines, that's when you should start acting. I believe he's of that. I think he believes that's the way it's supposed to be but no. You're supposed to use your own physicality and like your highs and everything. And hopefully he gets to become a better actor. So that's one of my first something. I'm glad that they cast a new guy to carry the movie, and I'm glad that it was supported with more established, really good actors. Like they actually used to help him carry it. That's my first something. Yes, in resembling of the simple, this is where I'm going to take a little bit of Vanessa's, what Vanessa is saying. Now, I also don't think that, I think in the fact that it went straight forward, they went a little bit too straightforward. You know, a little bit too straightforward. And that little bit too straightforward is just, they didn't explore more about what that traumatic incident is on Suky. And now this may be to the fact that maybe the Suky actor cannot necessarily express that, because again, my man only started acting and his acting ability is not that strong yet because he's new. Whenever it was time for him to say a lie, when he was on screen, it just looked like a regular guy. Like, what? He's just walking around on screen like man, nobody stopped him to say, I need you to at least do some sort of like, maybe he thought he was doing that. But for some reason, the camera did not capture it. Maybe it was being a little bit too subtle. It has to be picked up on the camera. The camera did not pick it up. Maybe because is that type of actor, it couldn't really express in the traumatic incident of what happened. Also, the times where I think that maybe the cutting was a little bit too quick for your eye to smoothly follow the storyline. For instance, when he comes and he sees that they've killed his adoptive mother, he gets rushed and then is left there. They didn't in the end, we see that, the reason why he's kind of left there is like, yes, they left him there to be the fall guy for the mother. Which, understandable, okay. Yes. But I feel like that scene, they should maybe a second longer or something a little bit more to make it more of a smooth feeling out in our heads of the action. Sometimes I felt the editing cut a little bit too quickly. So it kind of gives it a little bit too jarring of a situation. That was kind of a bad. This is not saying that the editing was bad, but like that was just one there. What prison? I understand that this is kind of like, I don't know. The Korean movie I Saw a Devil, where almost every single person, and it's like lawless, and it's just like, what the fuck? What place is this where like people are just disappearing, and there is no constitution, no, like alarming to the bigger world, and maybe it's just like this type of like representation of a sort of story, which I'm okay with. I just got a little bit confused when we first meet Marshall. Marshall is like, okay, everybody, the running, if you run away the third time, it's an intentional action, and he just started shooting people point blankly in the head. It's just like point. Nigeria is not nice, yes, but you cannot executionally kill somebody and then people, like, it's still a prison, This is still a prison. You can, like, that's very clearly execution style. Were they scheduled to be executed? Like, we have actual ways of execution in Nigeria. Like, was this person on death row or what? They only escaped the third time, and you think you can just executional style shoot them close range to the head? Like, what? And a couple of bodies at that. And also, did they run away? Because the people in that car were coming into prison for the first time. So what's going on? I get it. It's kind of like, I'm just like, it's a way it's a place that is outside of the world. It doesn't make no sense. But for within the story itself, they should have made that more clear. Is it the people that they capture back that are coming in, or new people? What is going on here? Maybe I missed it. The revenge story, I don't understand why. What is the reason for this fighting? How are the rich people making money from this? What is the connection to this? Also, they want the Suky to die, but then you put him in as, okay, I can get it. maybe he will start saying, I'm innocent, I'm not in this and this, but this motherfucker doesn't talk. Okay, I'm innocent, and he will point out to something. I don't get the connections. Even the revenge, we can say, okay, at the end, he kills his father's something. But why would they be fighting each other? What's going on here? Like, it is what it is, but it's still a good story. It's still a simple story. I think maybe those things could elevate the story more. Cause I don't see why should powerful people care about people who has left to be rot in prison. Unless they're doing it for some form of entertainment, then make it more clear it's about entertainment. And they are talking about money, then what money, what are you talking about? They are betting. Okay, they're betting, like, I still don't really see why this fighting thing is instituted. Even Amashal is like locking down the nurse, and she cannot leave because she's going to be shot. You shoot a nurse? Okay, they mentioned that she doesn't have a family. Okay, that's okay. That I can believe that. But yeah, but hey, those are kind of the bad things. Better editing. The main guy they should have assisted the guy in acting. There should have been a training of the guy. There are a lot of good actors on something. The director should have definitely tell his actor that your something is not coming up. So that's my thing. And
Okay. All right. Thanks, Ainka. Task, do you want to tell me what you did not like about Suki? Have you finished?
Have actually, like,
Oh, nice.
5 minutes ago. The problem I'm having is that there's no specific thing I dislike about Suki, and this is maybe a me problem. However, I had a hard time keeping up with this at some point, and I don't even know what that point is. It just gets really boring and just starts to drag. And for the life of me, I cannot pinpoint where that is. It's probably somewhere around the 45-minute to like an hour-ish mark, where I find myself being unable to follow. Like, I understand what's happening, but it's just not captivating me. I don't know what it is. I slept watching this movie 3 times, which is why I'm only just finishing it now. And so this is not, I can't say this is criticism because I'm really not saying anything. It's just for a movie of this genre. I like action movies. I even don't mind gore. I don't mind them ruining, Toby's face, but there's something about the story and maybe the way that it's told at certain parts that doesn't work for me. And I wish I knew what it was. And that really is primarily my bad. The other thing that I would say there is I do think Toby should have played Suki. Um, I think that the character or the actor for Suki does convey a lot about what the character is trying to convey as far as such of a quiet brooding. I think that's what they were going for. But that his inability to act and really carry the character does do somewhat of a disservice that I think Toby may have had an easier time portraying. But yeah, that's primarily it. Yeah. I didn't hate this. Actually quite liked it. I like the story. I like a lot of elements of the story that were being told. It just bores me at some point in the middle, which is odd. Oh yeah, and I hate the resolution as far as. So what I like about the story is that it feels authentic. It feels realistic. The way it resolves is sort of very similar, I think, to the way, life goes. You can't always touch the person at the head, and you kind of just have to settle for the person you can settle for. But I would have liked some more clarity around the motivations of the quote unquote villains of the story and why particularly they were after Suky so much, because I didn't see the purpose. I didn't understand why they killed his foster family. That was unclear to me, but I may have missed it.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Ataz. Undercard. Yes, it's Undercard. Undercard, you want to tell us what you do not like about Suki?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I liked the film a lot, but like, I didn't like the Dutch angles. There was some random Dutch angles in the film, and but I have to ask myself, do I just hate Dutch angles in general, or do I just hate them in this film? But all the same, um, the revenge plot, it's interesting because you have to wonder, is it not a bit convenient that the person who killed his dad is somehow not connected to this prison? But then that's a lot of things that it tends to happen in Nollywood films a lot when, oh, in the end, it now barrels back to the beginning, you get. Um, yeah, I think a lot of people have mentioned it. There isn't a lot of internalization for Suki, right? He's brooding, but like, is he actually brooding? He's just basically blank staring. But like, is he brooding? Am I looking at him thinking, he's really contemplating or thinking about all that he's lost and then contemplating this revenge? Except until the end when he finally sees the guy that killed his dad, and then there's that moment where he lets it all out. Apart from those moments, a lot of the brooding doesn't come across as brooding, as more than just I'm frowning my face. Yeah, but then I have to ask myself, do I really need him to work on his trauma, or do I need him to punch people in the face? There's a trade-off, you get. The ending is confusing to me because who is running the prison now? Is it the prisoners that are running the prison? If the prisoners are running the prison, why don't they just escape? Like, what's the point? You get? Is Ajaya that is running the prison? Ajaya is a prisoner. Why is Ajaya not just escaping? You get my point? And speaking of escaping, I like how the remote and the aesthetic of the prison look sharp, but those windows, I know teenagers in secondary school that have gotten through stronger looking windows. In fact, in my school, I know people that will use hand and break those windows. They don't look very strong to me. But all the same, I really like this movie, and that's all. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Indika. And Elizabeth, what did you not like about Suki?
Okay, for me, I will first say that, do I like this film? No. Do I like the idea of it? Yes. So let's get into it. Number one, I had to, like I said, by the time I finished this film, I wanted out. It was like I was watching against my will. And I was watching against my will because, there was something that hooked me. There was something that brought me. And it was just before the inciting incident. And after that, everything just went to the dustbin. You get into the prison, you see people fighting the Dembe fight. Stakes supposed to be high, but we're supposed to be happening. It just felt repetitive and boring AF. The story here is just not coherent. I know we said I know a lot of people mentioned that it's a straight story, but that's the point. It's not straight. It went straight and then it derailed. Completely went left. Exited stage left. The story changed direction. I don't know how to put it to you. It had all the markings of a revenge story. This film reminds me so much of Gang of Lagos, but the difference is that it does not annoy me in the way Gang of Lagos makes me want to hit my head on the wall. That's the only difference. Because here, I wouldn't say, here there isn't exactly like one film per se that I would say that this took an inspiration for play by play in a way where, I just can't not compare. So that's not there. But the problem here is that this guy's dad died. This guy's foster dad died, killed by the same persons, whatever. And then they implicated him, put him in the prison, got to the prison watching people fight. Then his opinion changed, and the head of prisoner wanted him to start fighting. Then could he fight? Couldn't he fight? He had raw strength. He needed somebody to train him. He's broody, he's not broody. He needed to kill somebody. Then he felt so much neatly put together that it ended up not being fluid. So it became very put together. So it's artificial in the way it's going about. So as I think it was Otas that mentioned. Another problem here, motivation. What's the running motivation here? It's so easy to find again, I don't know how hard it is to have good production, very tight story, and not just very tight story in such a way that even if your story was so long, you could say, oh, it's because of editing that we cut out so many scenes, we needed to put it together. If it's not coherent, it's not coherent. If it does not have motivation, it does not have motivation, because nary one person has motivation here. Nary one person. Even Suky that wanted to kill the guy with the big belly. Yeah, he killed your dad. All right. But you did not know he killed. Oh, no, you know he killed your dad. But before you went to the prison, that was not the point. It's like all those chance things. If it fell on your laps, like really, it fell on the laps. Like Suky, which I don't mind. Suky is not a mastermind. He's not smart enough to want a revenge in that manner. Put it together, plan it, start doing like Rocky, jogging, practicing. Suky is not that type of protagonist. Things are just going to drop on his laps, unfortunately. But it still doesn't, and that's what makes this film boring, because there are no stakes in it for me. I no longer feel sorry for Suky. I'm not looking forward to Suky bringing people down, because if it's a motivation again, it's Lady Icon's character when he started training Suki's character. I mean, I don't mind that he now headed at the end when he's now heading the prison fight. I'm like, okay, but was that the plan from the scratch to overtake this corrupt, menacing guy played by Fawali's character? But we would never know, because again, we don't know. Fawali's character, Abounce is the main guy that got them to kill this guy for throwing a fight. Why was it there? I don't know. Okay, he's there. Okay, there's some bad guys at the top. Okay. The fight, the fights in the prison. How do it tie to the fight that Suki's daddy do usually fight? And it's true. I don't know. Femi Adebayo, yeah, maybe. But again, I don't know. Like, I do get the whole hierarchy of power, like I mentioned in The Good. So, Femi Adebayo's character being the bad guy, being the bad guy, using his power, and also being the bad guy to oppressing Olaritimi's character, and Olaritimi's character is oppressing the whole chain of hierarchy, power, blah 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 thing. I get it on a thematic level, but in this film, I don't know what is going on. Like, even the guy that killed Suki's dad, you're just henchman. Okay, do you hate him that much that say I will go after the lawyer? I don't know what's going on here, guys. I don't know. So motivation is just not there. So it's boring, and that's why it will be boring, because by the time they started fighting, it was just like, God, let this thing finish. I wanted to really check the ending for who wrote the OST. But when it finished, I was like, to Jesus be my glory. I just turned off the entire thing, because I just did not understand what was going on. No mention of, I get the revenge. Of course, this is not a justice film. It's not about getting justice for anybody. It's just, getting your lick back. But it didn't feel triumphant, right? It didn't feel satisfying. There was no satisfaction. You killed the henchman. What am I supposed to do with that? Get out of my face. Get out of my face. Okay, congratulations. Can we go home now? Then he's gone. To what? There is nothing. Again, I feel because Suki's character is so shallow and there is no character development. In fact, throughout this film, nobody had one single character that developed anywhere. There was no character development. Suki, as a child, had so much character. Again, reminds me of Afemi from the younger character of the bad guy was just, even the good guy. They were just really there, robust. And then the moment they became adults, they just became one-dimensional goats. Sorry to say that, but it just felt stilted. And maybe because, oh, please, Suki, don't speak so that we can just enjoy your choreography and your fine face. There was no satisfaction for me as the audience, because that is what you want to do with storytelling. You want to your audience wants to feel something for this character who's gone through all of these bad things, and I'm rooting for him. In fact, I stopped rooting for him at some point. I didn't even know what was going on with his life. And, I like the idea that Bimbo's character wasn't like a love interest per se, which is great, good, wonderful. But usually, when people throw things like love characters in characters like this, it's because it's usually a device to either fine-tune the character development, give them a motivation, give them a direction, or maybe a sounding board in which we hear our protagonist's thoughts, aspirations, or whatever, blah, blah, blah. We got nothing here. And there was so much potential for that because we kept seeing Bimbo's character, question him, his faith, especially his faith, like you're Muslim and you're acting this way. Are you sure? Do you get? There's so many things that we could have seen the internal struggle for him. We could have seen his internal conflict in which we're seeing the good versus evil that is that. I mean, they tried to do something there. Again, nothing is clear here. Nothing is clear. And it's really about storytelling talent. You know what you want to do, but the destination just doesn't seem smooth. And it felt like Bimbo's character was wasted for that reason. She was just there. Again, it's not a small motivation for him because he now needed to save her and all of that, but it's just felt incomplete. Then what else? Yeah, the world building was, again, so the reason why all of this is happening, it just boils down to the fact that the world building is incomplete. There is a world, we understand the fight. This is it. But how does everything come together? How do these things, this extra moving part, how does it feed into one single organization from the head that is rotten, right? So from Femi Adebayo's character. And they just kept going to that church. And for half of the time, I thought they were inside the Egbe Okuku. Maybe one time they would just start doing occultic thing. It never happened. It did not come. The occultic thing, I was like, wow, so they just really love the church and the burning candles. Wow, that's a thing. People usually do that, but it really doesn't matter. There's some of the idiosyncrasies that we give some of the characters do not make sense. I think for Olaritimi's character, at some point, a cat just appeared. I was like, that's a cat. I think the cat appeared like twice. There's some things, I get the theme around the bird, releasing the bird and letting it go free. I will release you now, Mr. C. There's so many things here that feel like things should be happening because it was intended for it to happen, but that just did not translate into screen. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Elizabeth. There's some things Elizabeth says that almost seemingly contradict with what I say, but I actually agree with a bunch of them. I'll get to them in some of the things I say. Mrs. C, tell us what you did not like about Suki.
I'll say young Suki, the Nigerian in me thought his voice had too much bass. But well, that's just me becoming a Nigerian auntie in my advanced age. I don't know, man. I feel like I don't have strong feelings about Suki. So it didn't incite enough to annoy me. So even, I don't know, the places where it feels, I don't feel strongly enough about the feelings. I think, for instance, like the inciting incident, right? I remember watching it going, is he actually gonna not throw this fight because a 6, 7, 8, 12-year-old is looking at him disappointed. Oh, okay. Are they going to stab him in the throat? Is that how they do? I mean, again, I don't know about the, game match fixing world. I'm just going to assume you're going to want your money back. I don't know that stabbing someone in the throat gets your money back, but I just chalk it up to, hey, so the story can happen, right? That was my explanation for a lot of things. All right, we're here so the story can happen. Yes, Suki's, no, I said, I like that they didn't do too much with him because I don't think he could pull off more than brooding and, physicality, not yet anyway. But yeah, I don't know who mentioned it. We don't really know much about Suki as a character, except he was a judgmental child and a quiet adult. And just very, I don't know if we're to read it as just being defeated by life. He's given up because it's really go ahead, give us nothing. Like even when he comes out and his uncle and the wife are dead, it feels very bland. If you try to understand motivations as well, I think a lot of things happened to Suki, right? Instead of Suki making things happen. I think the only thing that Suki last did was, telling that guy to free Sumisola for him to fight. But then I don't know that you have a choice. Does Suki have a choice to not fight? Is the threat I won't win if, you don't free Sumisola, but it's a fight to the death, right? Is Suki threatening to off himself? I don't, you know what I mean? Like I didn't see the bite in that threat. And that was the first thing I saw Suki actually choosing to do. I won't say there was a revenge plot here. I'll be honest, because he had the competition he got himself into was for prisoners. His daddy's killer is not a prisoner. I just went, I guess he's fighting his daddy's killer, right? Why the hell not? Let's do it, right? But I didn't see Suki actively chasing his revenge. So I don't know, man. I think it lacked a lot of, Suki was a very safe film. And you know what? Sometimes let's play it safe until you can figure out how to make it exciting and go into danger and all of that stuff. So I wouldn't knock them for playing it safe. It is what it is. But yeah, I think it lacked a lot of actual action from the action hero of the film. And yeah, I think that's kind of the worst thing about Suki, to be honest, is that there was just, not a lot being done by the lead.
Okay. All right. I think Mrs. C and Elizabeth have put they've been able to identify for me, like, the biggest issue with Suki, which is that he is a passive protagonist. But maybe I'll get to that. Let me just touch on some light things, some things, peripheral things. I thought there were parts of the editing, and Inko sort of touched on this, that when very tidy. I thought we could have lingered a little more with him when he realized his adoptive parents had been murdered. The way the film forgets about the adoptive parents, they might as well not being there, to be honest. I probably understand why they're there in terms of thematically what the film was trying to go for story-wise, but it feels like they also were supposed to be there for if you wanted to put them there for this, or even the right way to do things isn't enough sometimes to right some of the wrongs in like the Nigerian crime world. Even the right way is no match for sort of this dark bellied crime. probably don't attach to Suky and give him like, all this adoptive parents, especially this new father figure that really seems to care about him. Because, if you're going to do it, you can't forget about him, because like it would seem, we don't know when he takes him on, but if it's from when he lost his father, this man would have been in his life for almost as long as his father. If not, I don't know how old Suky was when he was taken, but about similar age. So like they should be of about very close importance. So, just the way they take them away and just forget about them just felt wrong. And part of this thing where like it was rushing. And there's a few parts of the editing that does this. It's just rushing the scene a little more, and it's just not it's not quite getting the flow of the film that it should have. And, you feel this in a couple of places. The other main things, a lot of people have said they've been bored and they can't quite pinpoint what is boring about this. I can only be here to make a suggestion. And it's, a lot of it is just in the language of, fighting choreography. So usually what happens in a lot of these films is when you're doing your fighting film, you give different characters different fighting styles. You give them something. Oh, this person is a bit more stocky. This person is a bit more punchy. This person is this person kicks. This is his thing. This person is a bit more flexible, more fluid. Everybody was just doing the same thing. Everybody was just doing the same thing over and over again. It didn't give people enough variation of style to keep this interesting for a lot of people. And then also within that, you also, when you're doing all these, every fight in a good action film is a chance to explore your character, explore different things about your character. So like I've already mentioned, like different fighting styles is one way to do it, to like show, oh, this is how your character is. Like when people remember someone like a John McClane, right? You remember this almost like sarcastic, define the odds kind of guy who is being hurt, but like just almost jerking his way through it. But there's a lot of, you give somebody something, there needs to be a personality behind it. It should differ from other people's style. Now, the other thing is like during a fight, you almost want to tell a story. And the only thing all of the fights in Suky did was tell the story of somebody was getting his ass beat and then he won at the end. That's it. It just rinse and repeat. And that's not the only thing available to you. Again, it's the easiest, most common version of this, but there are very different things that they could have done with, maybe it felt like at some point they were trying to do it with the, when they were training him because they knew it was somebody that could have an edge with trash talking, putting him through a lot of trash talking and seeing whether that would sort of mess with his focus. But it just felt like the other things they had been doing from the previous one, where somebody beat Suky for a while and then Suky remembers his father and then he remembers his father when they're popoing him and then he gets new strength. So yeah, that felt repetitive and boring probably for a lot of people. And I think that's the biggest issue with it. So a lot of it has to be in finding that story within the fight scenes, within your training montage. The training montage was just, again, like, think about the most famous training montage. It's Rocky not doing the thing at the beginning, and little by little he's getting better at it, and then he does the jubilation. It's just, this training montage was just Suky doing push-ups and lifting bars. Didn't see him learn anything. Didn't see him like pick up any, sort of get rid of any flaw, overcome anything. This is part of like some of the internal conflict, like, Elizabeth's talking about. You need to give your main character something. And yeah, that's where I felt the time of this. This was like an hour and 45, but we did this in 2 bites because it's not because, to be honest, some of this is probably in story. This is probably a 90-minute film. It really is. It's a very simple revenge film. It doesn't have to be longer than that. So I think that's the biggest issue. There's a couple of things like I think other people have mentioned with, especially with the passiveness of the protagonist, with, the villain just falls on his lap. He doesn't really do anything to earn getting this revenge opportunity. It just falls on his lap. It would have been more interesting to see him sort of make it happen. Even if you want to put both of them in a prison, it would have been so much more interesting if Suky did something to knew that the other guy was going to be at the other end, and he forced himself to be in a position. But yeah, all of these things are things that would have given it more texture, more character, more flavor. But yeah, I think ultimately it lacked so much of that, and that's why a lot of people who appreciate the concept, for me, have found this boring. But yeah, that's my take. All right. In the pushback section, does anybody have a pushback? I think if I were to start one, okay, I'll let you go, Tess.
Okay. I have 2 or semi-2 pushback. One is, I want to say Vanessa, but I don't think she was the only one who said it. But just in general about young Suky versus old Suky, I think a lot of
Me,
the
I didn't say
time,
anything about young Suki.
that's why I say mad me you, but most
I
people
didn't say
said it.
anything
I
about
think
young
Mrs. C may
Suki.
have said it, but about him, sort of being talkative and then more withdrawn as he's older or whatever. I think a lot of Nigerian movies, and one of the things that we actively complain about is them telling us versus showing us. And in this instance, we do see this young, outspoken kid witnessing the brutal murder of his father. And more than likely internalizing that, because if he had just thrown the fight, probably would still be alive. And I don't quite see why more needs to be shown other than that to explain why he maybe is not as outspoken anymore, or a little more withdrawn or brooding. That's one. And then this is neither here nor there. Oyin Khan's whole thing about prison and the lawlessness of it, I thought was a little funny, just because Nigeria as a whole is generally lawless. People get disappeared right off the streets, not even being in prison. So I wasn't quite sure why people just getting killed in prison is the far stretch, but that's it.
Okay. Yeah, I think I was the one who volunteered Mrs. C's opinion whilst we were watching the movie, but it definitely wasn't as a complaint. It was actually as an observation. I think this was said during the good. So yeah, I don't think the change in Taki Suki versus, more withdrawn Suki was an observation. Same observation you made. So yeah, no, I don't think, except it was somebody else.
No, and the bad. Can't remember.
We didn't say it as a bad. It was said as an observation, except if somebody else.
No, I did say something about that, about younger Suki and older Suki. I
Okay.
did mention something around the character developments because I said the younger Suki even sounded more, the character sounded more or looked or was written to be more robust, but the older Suki had no character growth, really. It doesn't seem like there was a growth to me. And it's not about him just brooding, right? Even for his motivation, like there was no significant thing that seemed like happened to him. Apart from the fact that he fought and we knew that he was going to fight. Oh, he saw his father's killer and got angry and he fought and then but there was nothing that from him getting caught, or rather from him getting framed to him getting into the prison. He even really got into the prison minding his business, just eating and moving up and down. And then they told him to come and fight. They wanted to kill him. Again, there was really nothing huge that happened to him. Nothing that seemed like he's different from the person that went into the prison. So that's what I meant by that character didn't seem to have like a lot of work done on it.
Yeah. And actually I have slight pushback to this. And even though I do agree with Elizabeth that character doesn't really grow. I would say I don't need him to grow, but then I need the movie to be shorter and tighter with what it
But
does.
you have a protagonist that has no arc, really.
Fine. Revenge movies sometimes are just that, right? Like
No,
somebody does
but
a
there is
thing to
an
them.
arc. Maybe they start out timid, or maybe they start out
I wouldn't
bull-headed.
say something like a John Wick grows, right? He's
If
just a guy who kills people, and sometimes that's
no,
just
but
fun to watch.
there was something else. John Wick was a
I feel
guy that started out good.
I feel like
No.
it's
There is an
because
arc.
the revenge just falls into his laps. That's why he feels like
That's why.
the revenge just
Yeah,
falls. Because what if he doesn't meet that guy in that place? There won't have been a revenge plot at all.
absolutely,
That guy will
Oh,
not
absolutely.
randomly end up in the jail.
Yes, that's that.
I think that's why he feels off. It's just because he did not have any purpose up until the moment he saw that guy.
Yep, I 100% agree with that. And it's the revenge dropping on his lap is just it's difficult to forgive, to be honest, because I think even when you meet him when he's with his adoptive parents, I can't remember. I think somewhere in that house he mentions wanting to go after his his father's killer, and his adoptive parents were like, no, don't worry, we'll get them the right way or the legal way or something like that. And for me, it just, the fact that he didn't actually do anything for that to happen. Yeah, that's very difficult to forgive. But yeah, I don't mind characters not growing sometimes, but then the movie can't be this long and other things need to be happening.
Is that why his
Yeah.
parents were killed? Were they looking into what happened to his dog? Because I'm not sure.
Yeah, yes. Well, I think so. His dad was a lawyer, like looking into this, and that's why they were butchered.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Bragging about it on TV.
Yeah, he was bragging on it on TV. Is there anyone else with any other pushback?
Yeah, I have a pushback. I can't remember what it was again. But I remember, I think it's about Suki, and I think, yeah, Suki has it easy in the jail because he's a fine boy. He just got to the jail and the Oga already said, oh, you're sleeping beside me. I already imagined, okay, it's because he's a fine boy, he's going to have a good time in the jail. So I think it is also show and tell. They just showed his dad telling us. That's what me I took.
Okay. By the way, I disagree with that. One thing I want to say is that they don't really establish Suki's level of fighting or skills very well. When he beats all those policemen, before when Ola Cardoso's character, what's it called? Is it Marshall? When Marshall was going to kill him in the bush. He when he beats all those policemen, I'm not sure what Olaritimi's character saw in him. I just don't know, like, it feels like there was something there and all of that. I wish maybe they showed us he was learning boxing or something, because like, I just don't know what his skill level was before he went to prison, what his skill, it wasn't really particularly shown. But
It
that's,
wasn't good because they just punched him when he got he got after they killed his foster parents. As in, it was so easy. The way they just punched him or hit him, it was
yo,
just too easy.
Suki sucks. Suki sucks.
Yeah, and then he now started beating off police inside. I was like, okay, maybe he had training from when he was small, but I did not understand. I was, okay, maybe he had raw, but his instinct could not even save him, considering his dad got killed in front of him. It's a different thing if they showed it to be, oh, he froze, and now if it's that he froze, he will not keep on freezing until something takes him out. That is how you design or write an arc, right? But did he freeze the first time and then killed for survival the second time? You just don't know. Then he now went to go and look for your fight. Please train me to fight. Do you have raw strength or you don't? Which one is it?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Me, I
Okay.
think that his uppercuts. Is the uppercuts? That one where he jumps and come up and knock you down. Bish. That's his signature move. It's a gift every single
You know what, like you're mentioning, I remember when there were two things. I thought these were times where the movie wanted to give, something, a bit of character to all the different fighters. The first time was when, I think Olaritimi's character is giving them files on people. I was like, oh, Olaritimi has done a research to give them fighting styles or something like that. I was like, oh, so we're going to get, that turned out to be that didn't even need to happen. Turns out to be, useless. The other time was when, Suki, does that his Falcon punch, where he jumps up and he does the Falcon punch on this guy. And he doesn't move for a bit. I was like thinking, oh, this guy's thing is like, oh, you're going to have to find ways to, sort of strangle this one or find a different thing, because this one is like a brick, and it just a delayed fall. It teased me with trying to do something different, and it just ran back to being stale. But yeah, I agree with sort of the tediousness that it brought, despite all of the great attempts that the film had and a lot of the good filmmaking it certainly tried and achieved in a lot of parts. But yeah. All right. Anybody has anything else before we move on to summaries? Cool. Inka's not here. Vanessa, do you want to give us your summary for Suki?
Sure. This had the makings of what was supposed to be a fun, exciting revenge boxing film. But all we got was a boring film that I was fighting for my life throughout to not fall asleep through. So yeah, I guess go into this with the knowledge that you will be bored. And if you're willing to be bored, go right ahead.
Wow. Okay. Batas?
There are very few films where I think saying I see the intention is a good thing. But in this one, I do see the intention. I do like the attention. I do like the story they were trying to tell. However, they did not succeed in telling me that story. And I had a hard time believing the story they did. Not believing, obviously it's a movie, I don't have to believe it. But I had a hard time being interested in the story they did end up telling me. And Yeah. But let's not forget all the good things that happened here. Toby was in it, hot, shirtless. Suki, beautiful man, shirtless, love him. Can't complain. Would have liked to see them on the screen together for longer, both as adults, shirtless, of course. But overall, it's one of the better things we've watched this year. I don't think there's a lot. I'm thinking I could be wrong. I don't think there's much else we've watched this year. I guess other than the older movies that have been better. So, man, it passes. I probably wouldn't watch it again. I do hope we get to see Suki in more things, maybe with more dimension and shirtless. But yeah.
God. Can't say I didn't see this one coming. That's wishing for a time machine in this movie for Suki to travel back and see and give his father a hug or something. Anyway.
Yes.
Elizabeth, do you want to give us your summary?
Is Unduka not before me? Has he given his summary?
Yeah.
Oh,
Have I asked for a summary? I thought I did.
So,
Okay, sorry. My apologies. Induka, please go on.
so my apologies. Sorry, my summary. I enjoyed this film. I liked it. It had it had some gore, not even too much, in my opinion. It could be more. The wounds healed too early, so I don't know the passage of time, but sure, those are nitpicking. Yeah, I would like to see more of Suki. Like what I said, especially in a character where he has the opportunity to express himself more. I don't know if that was his fault or maybe a direction fault, but like aside from that, I really liked this film. I enjoyed myself.
All right. Thanks, Induka. Elizabeth, you want to give us your summary?
yeah. So my summary, I'd say that Suki did not annoy me, which in itself is a feat because Nigerian revenge films or something similar like that tend to really aggravate me. If you've been on the call when we're discussing Gang of Lagos of FMF now, so Suki did not annoy me because I can see, I know we said that we shouldn't be saying that we see the vision because this is bloody 2025, sorry for that. But this one I saw the vision, let me not even lie, because I really don't know what else to do. This is one of those things that you pat them on the back because I'm tired of saying I don't want to pat people on the back. Maybe I'll pat for this because I like the production. The effort that went into this was more cohesive than the story, but I wish the story, was a little bit more, maybe the motivation is more fleshed out, but you can see the vision and the vision is okay. It's just didn't do a lot to hold my attention, especially around stakes for an action film. The stakes is what you use to sell your audience, right? The stakes wasn't exactly high, at least for me. You should watch it, really. This is one of those things that you want to watch. I'm like, Nollywood has improved, though. But if you're there for the story or the motivation story, I really don't have, I'm not recommending this.
Oh, wow. Wow. Mrs. C, summary.
I honestly, I kind of enjoyed Suki, to be honest. Regardless of my, regardless of my bad, I kind of enjoyed Suki. We did have to watch it in 2 goes, but that's okay. I would recommend it. You might feel sleepy halfway through, move on to something else, come back and finish it later. I wasn't mad.
Okay. I found it okay. It was a little too slow for me. But it is something I wouldn't mind recommending others to watch, because I do think it does move Nollywood a little forward in the sports movie area. I said it's I chose my words carefully there, where I didn't call it the best sports movie Nollywood has done. I said it's the least offensive sports movie Nollywood has done, because I feel like best is deserving of at least a wholehearted recommend from me, which I don't think this movie has earned. So there's still a lot of room for improvement for me. So least offensive is what I would call this. So yeah, in that way. But I do want to encourage all the filmmakers involved. Keep going. This was a good effort. We'll work on story a little bit more. Work on this sort of the fights and characterizing the fights and a bit better, and we'll get there. But yeah, thanks everybody for listening to us, and thanks to us because for discussing Suky with us. Next Sunday we go again. Maybe just a hangout. Maybe we take a break. We've done 2 movies. We've done 2 movies back to back. We've done 2 2025 movies. 2 2025 movies back to back. I think we need a break. We'll see. Okay. It's geolocked. I have to fix VPN for some people. I might think about it. Let's sit on it. Let's sit on it. All right. Okay. Until then, thanks everybody. We shall see you next week, Sunday, 6 p.m. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the episode. If you enjoyed listening and would like to join live, just follow us on Twitter at IrokoCritic and join us every Sunday, 6 p.m. West African time on our spaces.